I found my husband and my sister together. First post on January 25, 2023. Before I start, I want to apologize if the English isn't correct. Keep in mind that English isn't my first language. I am 40 and my husband, 42, have been married since I was 22 and he was 23. Up until now our marriage has been perfect. We have a 12-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son together. But lately I have been getting this weird feeling that my husband is in love with my sister. For short context, my sister, 43 years old, has always hated me, even though she was our parents' favorite growing up. She just had the hate for me and always took away things like I loved. Like for example, when I was younger I loved playing soccer and was good at it. When my sister found out, she also started playing soccer. She was good but not better than me, not bragging. One day she injured her ankles and was told she couldn't play soccer for a long time and somehow it was my fault. She told our parents, and being their favorite angel, they believed her and banned me from playing soccer ever again. She also stole my first boyfriend and bullied me in school, but I never said anything and mostly kept to myself. Back to now. I had the feeling that my husband was in love with my sister because when she and her husband got divorced, she called up my husband immediately and he went without a second thought. That's how it has always been. Whenever she needs him, he's there with her without even a second thought. About 2 months ago our 12-year-old daughter broke her arm, and we went to the hospital with both me and my husband while my son was at his friend's place. We got home and my daughter asked if she could get McDonald's, and so I went out to get our daughter some McDonald's because she wanted it, and she also wanted her dad to stay with her. She has always been a daddy's girl. When I came back home I found my husband on his way out with our daughter crying and begging him to stay. When I saw it I quickly rushed over and asked what was happening, and I found out he was going to my sister because she wasn't feeling well, and I asked him why was he going there when his daughter literally just broke her arm, and he only answers your sister needs me and left. After that I got super angry and packed a bag for me, my daughter and my son, and went to stay at my aunt's place. She was the only one of my family that agreed that my sister was a brat, so I spent most of my childhood with her. 2 days after I had to go back home because I forgot my work computer, and when I got there I was shocked at what I saw. My husband and my sister were on the couch of our family home doing the dirty work. When they both noticed me they were quick to get their clothes back on, and my husband ran to me telling me that this wasn't what it looked like, and that this was all a misunderstanding. I stood there for a minute because I yelled back at him how he could have done this to me, and if I meant nothing to him, and I yelled that I want a divorce and left. When I got to my aunt's place I went into the room I was staying in and broke down crying. I don't know what to do. I already told my aunt and she is furious. She told our parents and most of our family members even though I asked her not to, but at the same time I'm happy she told them because I don't have the courage to do so. My husband and sister have been blowing up my phone with text messages, but I just ignore them. I don't know how I'm gonna tell my kids. What do I do? Update on January 31st, 2023. Thank you guys so much for the support and love you guys sent to me. And so I'm very happy for everything, and it makes me happy that even though I don't know you guys, I feel you guys so near. While I was on Reddit someone asked me if I had a different body than my sister, and yes I do, and she hated that I was skinnier than her and made sure to comment about my weight any opportunity she got. Here's an update. One side of me felt sad and wanted to forgive my husband for the kids' sake, but the other side felt anger and wanted revenge. I told my kids that things aren't working well at work. That was the reason for my sadness, which they believed. I was glad because I still can't bring myself to tell them about their father. One thing I didn't mention in the other post was that my sister and her ex-husband, super hot husband and such a nice person, I'm so sorry but it's the truth, got divorced because she had been mentally abusing him throughout their whole relationship, and she had just started physically abusing him. And that's when enough was enough for him and he divorced her. Being the person that she is, she made a lie about how her husband was the one doing the abuse and all that bullshit. I contacted her ex-husband to have a talk with him and I asked if he wanted revenge. He agreed and we made plans to meet up. We met up at a public cafe and talked together. We talked about how abusive she was and how he too had the feeling that she had feelings for my husband. I also told him what I saw and we decided to start with our revenge plan. We started with reporting my sister to the police for the abuse, and at first the officer was skeptical, but she had left a bruise on him and he also had texts from her threatening him. They told us they were going to start on the case and advised us to get a lawyer and sent us home. After that I started with taking out all the money we had on our shared account to my own, and since I owned the house I was going to kick him out. I then got a lawyer and started the divorce process, which I knew was going to be a long and hard battle, but I was willing to do anything to get away from this disgusting man. Later that week I sat my kids down and told them everything. My son was furious, but my daughter didn't believe me at all and told me I was lying. And I told her that even though she might think I'm lying, I am not gonna stop her from seeing her dad. Later that day my aunt had gathered my parents and my husband's parents together with the both of them at her house and I didn't know. I just got home from work to find them all there. Turns out my aunt finally had enough of my sister and told the whole family of what I had seen and also that my sister had been in and out of jail and my aunt was the one to bail her out each time. My parents were furious and started yelling about how much of a disappointment she was and my mom gave her a tight slap, told her they never wanted to see her ever again. As for my husband's parents, they told him they never thought he could go that low, knowing his mom raised him as a single mom before she met his stepdad who he called dad. My daughter stood up and yelled at her dad, telling him how much she hates him and never wants to see him again before she ran up into the room she and her brother were sharing at my aunt's house and slammed the door after herself. My son gave him a disappointed look and followed his sister upstairs. My husband kneeled in front of me and begged for forgiveness, and I told him he had 2 days to pack his things and leave the house or else I'll call the cops, and he started sobbing and begged me, saying he had nowhere else to go. His parents told him he wasn't welcome ever again in their house, never ever. I told him I didn't care and that I wanted a divorce. And at the end he said okay and left with red teary eyes. 2 days later I went home with my babies. They hadn't been to school since that talk and were having a hard time, especially my daughter. I sat them down and held them both in my arms, telling them we were strong and we're gonna get through this no matter what. I'll always be there for them. They both broke down crying until they fell asleep. I woke them up to take them in their bed and went downstairs and had a breakdown myself. I couldn't ever show my kids how hard this was on me. I had to be strong for them. I heard the doorbell ring and thought it was my ex-husband, but it was my sister's ex-husband who came to visit. He sat me down and hugged him while I cried, telling him I couldn't do this on my own. He stayed the night and when I woke up, he had made breakfast for me and my kids and they seemed to enjoy him being here. He asked the kids if they wanted to go somewhere special with him and they both gave him a shrug. I was about to tell him it's okay, but he talked the kids into it and they finally agreed, running to their rooms to get ready. I gave him a big hug and told him thank you, and he hugged me back, telling me to take all the time I needed. For any confusion, they have always been close with Thomas, my sister's ex. When they left I called up my lawyer and had a chat before meeting him. When I got home I almost started crying at what I saw. I saw that Thomas had ordered their favorite takeout and was sitting on the sofa eating it while my daughter was cuddled up on his side, eyes red from crying. I quietly got my shoes and jacket off before making my way into the living room with a huge smile on my face. My son ran up to me and gave me a big hug before we sat down and enjoyed our night together. I had a talk with my kids and they agreed that we all should start seeing a therapist. Thomas helped talk them into it because he was also seeing one himself. My husband has been blowing up my phone with texts and calls, but I just blocked him. That's all I have. I'll update if anything happens, and my kids haven't talked to their dad since, and I also cut off my parents. And I also got tested for STD and was STD free. Again, thank you guys for the love and support. Update on April 8, 2023. Hey everyone. It has been a while since I last updated. I've been very busy with work, my kids, therapy and just everything. I'll just start with how things are going. For me it is going better and I am starting to feel good, all thanks to Thomas. My daughter has been trying her best. What I mean by that is sometimes she will come crying to me or Thomas talking about how much she hates her dad, and other times she will go crying to her dad wanting his comfort. I don't blame her and never will. It breaks my heart to see her suffering so much. All she wants is our family back together. I wish I could, but the damage has been done. Sometimes she gets episodes where she will go in a state where she can't really tell what is happening around her, and sometimes she slips up and calls Thomas dad. Which is not a bad thing, but I would never date my sister's ex no matter how much of a devil she is. I just can't. As for my son, he has been very close to his emotions. I sometimes find him crying to himself at night and I just go in to hug him. We talk and I tuck him and stay with him while he sleeps. This is the only way I can get to know how he is truly feeling because he never talks to me no matter how hard I try. As for ex, he broke thing off completely with my sister and hasn't spoken to her. He got himself a good paying job. He worked at his dad company before all this and got fired from there. He also lives in a really nice house because he for some reason had been saving up just for in case, knowing I would catch him and my sister one day. I know all this though my daughter tells me everything. I don't press her. She always says she wants me to know what's going on in his life. My son does not speak with his father and never visits. I am not gonna force him. My ex has been trying to get in touch with me and sending me flowers and gifts. I accept them because I don't want to throw away stuff. It is just not me and I still love him. It is not easy to let go of those feelings. From what I've heard, my sister lives in her car and works at a very low-paying job. One thing I want to make clear is that if my sister goes homeless, I'm gonna help her because I just can't stand and watch her live in the street, knowing how dangerous our town gets at night. Thomas has been a great help for all of us. He is just so perfect in every way. One more thing about Thomas is that he found he is bi and started dating this guy named Logan not too long ago. Logan has been too much help too and my kids loves them both. My daughter does not fully loves them like my son, but she is getting closer every day. I've also started working out and eating better, trying to get in better shape. I met this dude. We have been talking and working out a lot together. He gives me the same spark that my exes gave me back when we were dating. I am not saying that I'm gonna start dating this dude, but he makes me really happy. My kids do not know about him yet. That's all for now. I will update if anything else happens. And again, thank you all so much for the love and support. It means the world to me, and I love you all so much. Ladies, even if your man cheats on you, it does not mean that you have to get out of shape and become depressed or sad. Sometimes it means that it is time for change, and it can be a good change.